Hi, my name's Adam Kilborn. I'm with Black Raven Films, and I just wanted to show you a little bit of what I've found out about the PolarPro ND filters with the polarizer, and how they compare to the DJI ND filter without a polarizer. I just recently bought the Phantom 4. It's an amazing piece of equipment, love it, but you absolutely need filters to go along with it. So spent a little bit of time looking around and saw that PolarPro had these really nice ones with both the ND filter and the polarizer, and I thought, well, heck, these are exactly what I need. This is going to be great. So bought them. They came in, and I put them on the camera and started taking a look at what was there to see. The challenge is that on the PolarPro filters, an ND filter, the way that they work, it's got to be lined up a certain way for it to actually function the way that it's supposed to. So as you rotate the front element, it cuts reflection or doesn't cut reflection. And so that'd be fine if the actual filter had a marking on it, but the darn filter doesn't have a single marking on it other than the title and the name on it. So you kind of got to figure this stuff out by trial and error, and that's what this first setup is right here that I started doing, was just rotating the filter every quarter turn, or not quarter turn, like I guess I just use the time on a clock. So this was at 12 o'clock. What it looked like. This was at 1:30, 3, and so on. And as you go around the face of the clock, you realize that you're trying to find the two positions that are going to work. So 1:30 and 7:30 work for the positions for the best filter. And you can see that here with this, is that the 1:30 and the 7:30, it has the nicest color representation. You lose the glare off the trash can down here. And actually, let me just back up here a little bit on this. The other thing is that you look up here on the window of the truck, and you're gonna see that the reflection actually goes away. This is one of the cool features. So that's at 9. That's just a quarter turn, or less than a quarter turn difference, but between the two, it's pretty wild. So I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is exactly what I want. So I was pretty happy with it. The problem I noticed is that as I was utilizing the filter, the color representation, it just seemed dirty. It was like there was I still felt like I was looking through sunglasses, and the sunglasses had a dark tint to the whole thing. So it really was noticeable just in the blues up in here. And these images here are color corrected to a certain degree. And anybody who's a colorist, don't make fun of my coloring here. This is just a quick grade, and I'm not the best at this stuff. So, but as we looked at different footage that we'd capture with the camera with the PolarPro filter on it, we noticed that there would be some tinting. So I was curious, well, is it the polarizer? What's going on here? Why am I getting this weird color representation, or at least what I thought was a weird color representation? And so I purchased the DJI ND filter to take a look and to see what the difference was. And there is a significant difference, and it's represented in two different things. So let me scroll through this here and finish out this little bit here, and I'll show you the difference between the DJI and the PolarPro. So you got the DJI on the left there. This is straight out of camera. There's no color adjustment on it. There's nothing that I've done to this image other than just dropped it into the timeline. And the thing is that the first thing off the bat you're going to notice is that between the two filters, the DJI does not give as much. It doesn't cut the light as much as the PolarPro does. It's about a half stop darker in the PolarPro image than it is in the DJI image, and I'm assuming it has to do with the polarized inside of things, but I mean, it could just be the way that they grade their ND filters. Who knows? But that's the first thing you notice, and when I was filming with the PolarPro, I felt that the exposure setting for the ND8 was perfect for direct sunlight, which is what this is about 7:30 in the morning here, and I would think that this is properly exposed here. This one's a little bit hot for me, and as we scroll from, let's turn this from left to right here, the DJI is blown out in the highlights. It's got, it's obviously we see a lot more in the shadows in the dark areas, but it's overexposed. So that's one thing. Like just the difference between these two filters is that they're not the same filtration that's happening with it. The PolarPro is definitely darker than the DJI. In fact, for direct sunlight, if I was to use the DJI filters, I couldn't use this ND8. I would need to increase it to their ND16, which I'll probably end up purchasing just to see what that looks like. But let me go through that. So the first thing is just the exposure. So that's the first bit. The second thing that you notice with this is the color representation here with these two, and that's probably the biggest difference. So you see this blue up here in the sky versus this blue up here in the sky. It just feel like there's like a I don't know, a brown tinge to the whole thing on the PolarPro, and I thought it was just sort of my eyes, but as I looked at these images more and more between the two, I think the PolarPro just has a tint to the whole thing, and I really don't want to have to mess with the tint in post. So these are colored, just a basic LUT that's thrown on it from it's the GC Falcon LUT, the Log 709, and I'm trying to to cut a little bit of the exposure on the DJI filter since it's overexposed, and I've got to bring up the PolarPro to take to somewhat match these things. But the color representation between the two, I like the DJI better than the PolarPro, and it's really, you see it up here in the skyline. I like this blue; it just looks nicer, and maybe somebody who knows better about color or knows better about these filters, how they work, would be able to tell me that what they think is going on there. But when I look at the greens down here and the greens over here, I mean, this green looks nicer to the eye than this does. I mean, I'm not doing anything in the saturation, but these greens feel to me much more saturated. So I'll still continue to use these PolarPros for a little bit, but if after I pick up the DJI filter, if it's the same thing at the ND16 with the color and the look as it is with this ND8 here, I think I'm going to keep these DJIs and return these PolarPros, because even though the idea of the polarizer sounds nice to my brain, it's like I don't like the image. So if the image isn't better, why am I paying extra for this polarization that I don't think actually does a benefit to the overall image? So I'm just going to play these out. You can see the difference between the two, but again, these trees, you really see the big difference. Again, these images is the DJI is overexposed here to a certain degree, but straight out of camera with a little bit of adjustment, I just like the DJI image better. So anyways, that's what I found so far. Maybe I learn a little bit more as I get more into this, but thought you guys might like to see that. So cheers.